All right. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you guys into the LD11 October meeting. Want to welcome everybody for coming out. I just want to answer this first question. No, we cannot run Diamondback games during the waiting room. So just want to let everybody know that, yeah, you can't do that. So if Zoom allows that, maybe next playoffs or something like that, we'll run a little sports, and I'm pretty sure that's going to violate something. So, but with that said, I'm Patrick Brown, the chair of LD11. I want to welcome you guys to our meeting. Before we get everything going, just want to go over a couple meeting norms, housekeeping things. Like if this is your first meeting, welcome, and kind of get an idea how we do things here. If this is like your 1000th meeting, then you pretty much kind of know how this runs. But again, always want to like set those expectations. So first things up, as you're sitting at home, wherever you're at, if you want to have your camera on during the meeting, that's cool. If you don't, that's fine. We do ask though, if you're recognized to speak, please turn your camera. We like to see who's talking and who's saying things during the meeting. Next thing is with the mics, please make sure you have your mic muted. Again, you keep those muted. If you're recognized by me to speak or you're on the agenda, of course, you'll be welcome to unmute. And if you have any questions or comments, please drop those in the chat. Our board will be, monitoring the chat and making sure that, those questions that get answered, or they'll kind of give me a heads up and I'll just answer it, for you. Also, if you have anything to share, like information, links, things like that, I know stuff that we have, we'll drop in the chat, but then of course you can do that as well. With that said, if you'd like to follow along at home with our agenda, that is, we do have a virtual agenda. So you can either quickly copy down this link. If you have another device, you can scan a QR code, or if you just want to keep it simple, we'll go ahead and drop the link to the agenda in the chat, so that way you can kind of follow along as we go through our meeting this evening. All right, so let's get into officer reports. I'll start off here. A couple things just to let everybody kind of know about. First one is if many of you have already signed up for this, and we appreciate it, but we still have lots of postcards, and we also have lots of new Democrats to our district. So if you are interested in welcoming new Democrats to the district, it's also a 2-for-1. You can get your elected PC, petition signatures as well, or carry petitions for the many initiatives that are going around. So like I said, it's like a 2, 3, 4-for-1. But if you just want to start with postcards, if you shoot us an email at info@southmountaindems.org, we've been more than happy to get you a list of new Democrats in your precinct or in your area, as well as get you postcards to, write a little welcome message to the district. Like I said, we have, our district is growing. We've got a lot of people who moved here since the midterm elections that may not, know that, guess what? They're in a very, very bright blue district. And so we want to, let them know that, hey, if you want to get involved with the party, or just, want to take up some volunteer activities, especially as we get closer and closer to the big election season, then that's how we started with these relationships. Next thing, as you know, we've got some jurisdictional elections that are coming up in November. So the party doesn't quite start. Is actually starting a bit early. A lot of people are thinking like, oh, November 24, but no, we got some November 23 business to take care of. We got some judicial elections. Of course, we have the Phoenix Go bond, which we'll talk about a little bit more in this meeting, as well as I know Phoenix Union has a bond election as well. And I know I see one of our school board members here, so I'll let her talk about that when we get to our elected officer reports. But the fact of the matter is, this is going to be an all-male election. Keep an eye out. Ballots went out, I believe, on the 11th. So yeah, went out yesterday actually. So just start checking your mailbox. Your ballot will be coming. This will be an all-male election. What that being said is, with elections, we're going to need poll observers. Now, of course, poll observers are members of either, the various recognized political parties, and of course they observe to make sure everything is being handled fair and appropriately. So we are looking for individuals who wants to do that. So if you're interested in becoming a poll observer, we have a sign up link. That'll get dropped in the chat here during the course of the meeting. So if you're interested, you can sign up for that role. last but not least, for me is we're going to be planning on doing a holiday party in December. We haven't quite picked a date yet, but we're looking for members of the LD who love to plan parties, or more than likely would love to host. So if you are interested in being a part of our holiday party committee, please shoot us an email and we'd like to talk with you. So that being said, that is all that I've got. So I'm gonna go ahead and hand things over to our first vice chair, David Braun.
I really don't have anything, Patrick.
All right. Well, we'll just keep it moving here. So we'll go to our second vice chair, Michael Butts. So I know he's here.
Sorry, I think my mute came back on after I unmuted it. Good evening, everybody. I'll make my presentation quick as well. All I have is for our social hour. This is this Saturday, October 21st, between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. at AV Wilderness, right there off of Roosevelt. I'm excited to really connect with you all this Saturday, and we're looking forward to that. The next thing is, if you are interested in being a precinct committee person, please go ahead and reach out. We would love to have you on board. This is going to be a very, very special election, unlike any other election, in my opinion. And I think that this is a perfect time to get involved and ramp up before we head into the election cycle. So if you are interested in joining, we'd love to have you. And with that, I will turn it back over to.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Secretary. Now, if you haven't heard, I appointed Tanisha Charity as our all right. As you guys saw, I think in a communication I sent out to the PCs, I appointed Tanisha Charity as our secretary. She's serving as interim secretary. She is traveling. She had a work trip, so she's going to try and get onto the meeting tonight. If not, we do have a little bit of business. We do need to take care of a new business. Since I've appointed her, the way our bylaws are written is that we do have to hold a vote to have her complete the term. Now, the good news is that if she's not able to get on, because like I said, she was out of town for work, if she's not able to get on, we can still elect her in absence because she wants to do the job. So just so you guys know, we'll do a vote in new business to make her the secretary moving forward. So, all right. And that brings us to our treasurer. So, like I said, it's one of those Wednesdays. So our treasurer, Sadia, had a work conflict, and so she was not able to join us tonight. So I will try and not mess up the treasurer's report. Let's see. This is why I don't let me mess with the money here. So, all right. So this is the September treasurer's report. LD11's total income for that month for this month, or the previous month, was $180. We had an expenses of about $128.87. That we started the month with a balance of $3,467.68 and an ending balance of for September of $3,518.81. Pretty much our income is coming primarily from our Act Blue, which is our online donation, which is really a convenient way to donate to LD11. You can do a one-time donation, or you can do a reoccurring donation, because we definitely appreciate those dollars. We didn't receive anything via check or anything at the meeting through like basically cash or anything like that. Regarding our expenses broke down to we had our Act Blue fees, because there is a fee to use the service. That was $17 or $7.14. Web hosting for our website was the regular monthly fee of $15.99, which actually went up a little bit, inflation. Our Zoom fee was $15.99. Our domain for our LD11 domain and everything goes with that is $39.10. Our mailing list, $28.59. The PC notices that went out to PCs, let them know that they'll need to start the elective PC process. That was $6.06, and then of course we had bank fees of $16, with a total expenses of $128.87. with that being said, of course, this reflects the time that this report was completed. We do have a quarterly report that is going to be completed by Sadia this weekend so that we can be in compliance with the Secretary of State's office. And last but not least, all the work that we do with LD11 is, when there's money involved, is through the kind donations of each and every one of you guys. And as we get closer and closer to our election season, of course, we'll be using those funds for all sorts of get out the vote events and things to help elect Democrats up and down the ballot. So if you want to help us out and be a reoccurring donor, you can scan that link, and we'll also drop that link in the chat as well. All right, bring us to our Sergeant at Arms. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone, fellow Democrats of LD11. To everybody who's been listening to the last couple of years, we're not surprised that Kyrsten Sinema is preparing to run for re-election as independent. But she faces some challenges in today's partisan environment. It seems unlikely the two doing polls the Hill reported on yesterday's show. In a survey from the Public Policy Polling, a left-leaning pollster, Gallego narrowly leads Lake in the three-way race. In a poll from Republican pollsters, National Research, Inc., Lake narrowly leads Gallego. None of the polls show Sinema within striking distance, let alone leaning. So about that plan, I guess she's trying to get 60% of it, but they don't think that she's going to make that. So as Democrats, let's make sure that we stay true Democrats and support whatever candidate we put against Kyrsten Sinema and up and down the ballots. The next thing I have here is for the Phoenix Go Bond. What would $5 million of the four measures will pay for? Offer us a rare opportunity to make a critical investment without increasing tax rates. It's an opportunity that we can't afford to miss. Councilwoman Keisha Hodge Washington represents Phoenix District 8, and John Graham is the chairman and CEO of Sunbelt Holdings. They both co-chair the Let's Go Phoenix. By voting yes on 1 through 4 and passing the Go Bond, $500 million will be invested into projects that include new fire stations, fire trucks, and police stations to help improve our emergency response times, street improvements to make our city safer and accessible, Phoenix First Latino Cultural Center and Holocaust Education Center, senior citizens centers like the Cesar Chavez Senior Citizen Center, and additional affordable housing units to address the growing need in our city. A broad list of supporters in this investment include our first responders, business leaders, labor unions, neighborhood leaders, and community advocates alike. The Phoenix Go Bond represents the first bond measure in nearly 2 decades, and we can make this investment without increasing the tax rate. We encourage all Phoenix residents to vote yes on questions 1 through 4 and pass the Phoenix Go Bond on November 7th. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, Robert. So that will conclude our office report. So we're going to go ahead and transition into our special guest here tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. So our first guest is going to be our Vice Mayor, Yasmin Ansari. As you guys know, our Vice Mayor Ansari is, while the City Council woman representing District 7, she's also running for Congress. So just if you're not familiar with Councilwoman Ansari, which I think you should be, let me just tell you guys a little bit about her. So she's serving as the Vice Mayor of Phoenix and is the youngest woman ever elected to the Phoenix City Council. She was raised in Arizona. Yasmin is the daughter of immigrants who instilled in her the value of education and hard work at a young age. Since then, she went on to earn her undergraduate degree in international relations with honors from Stanford University and her master's degree from the University of Cambridge. Yasmin then served as senior advisor in the executive office of United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, where she was on the climate team that helped deliver the historic Paris Climate Agreement. In 2020, Yasmin was recognized by Forbes as 30 under 30 in law and policy, and in 2021 by the Phoenix Business Journal on their 40 under 40 leaders list. Since elected, she has enacted policies to create a sustainable and equitable future for Phoenix, including passing Phoenix's first climate action plan and a separate plan to transition our entire city bus fleet to electric and 100% zero emissions by 2040. establishing the world's first publicly funded Office of Heat Response and Mitigation, directing over $120 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds to projects supporting affordable housing and homelessness, like rental assistance, which has helped over 19,000 families. Creating the Phoenix Promise program to help over 800 students pursue 2- and 4-year degrees through Maricopa Community Colleges, and spearheaded the deprioritizing police enforcement of Arizona abortion law. With that being said, I'll go ahead and turn the floor over to Yasmin Ansari.
Thank you, Patrick. And to confirm, this is the candidate part, right?
Yes, this is the candidate part. Yeah, we kind of flipped things a little bit. Sorry.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. I really, really appreciate the time. Of course, I know many of you here, but given that this is the piece where I'm talking about the race for Congress, I thought about starting a little bit with my personal story. So many of you know that I love and learn from my family, especially my parents. And as a daughter of Iranian immigrants growing up in Arizona, dinner table conversations at my house always revolved around politics. And whether that was US foreign policy in the Middle East, or healthcare, gun violence, my parents always wanted me to know that civic engagement is non-negotiable. And in the context of all that's going on in the Middle East and the latest terrorist attack against Israel by a group that's actually funded by the Islamic Republic of Iran, I think that's especially pertinent right now. So I always have been very passionate about civic engagement. I knew it was something that I wanted to work on. But like any young person, your first thought is that you want to go out and see what's out in the world. So I did that. I studied international relations and national security policy at Stanford and Cambridge universities. I've always been very interested and dedicated to making sure the US has responsible foreign policy practices. My career led me to the United Nations, where I was on the team that advised Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and helped to deliver the historic Paris Climate Agreement, worked on several global climate action summits with both former California Governor Jerry Brown and with the current UN Secretary General. And as a Phoenix councilwoman and now vice mayor, I'm really proud of the work that we've done kind of at that intersection of local and global. I have an incredibly young, diverse team at Phoenix City Hall, and we've made it our mission to make government more accessible to our constituents. So I've led the charge to pass big picture policy on climate, housing, and workers' rights. So I want to highlight some of the work I'm most proud of. I first of all helped pass the city's first ever climate action plan and one of the most ambitious fleet transition plans in the country. So I think everyone here knows we have some of the worst air pollution in the country. We're on the front lines of climate change. And so I wanted to make sure that we are prepared for that future. I also helped pass and fund the country's first ever publicly funded Office of Heat Response and Mitigation. So we have a dedicated team at the city now working on these issues. Second, I've been a leader on housing and homelessness, which continues to be the top issue for Phoenix constituents. Helped direct more than $120 million in federal funding to building new shelters. So last year we were able to bring 600 new shelter beds online. In the upcoming year, 800 new ones. We've expanded behavioral health services and outreach services across the city. And third, I've been proud to be at the forefront of raising wages as cost of living in Phoenix continues to soar. So we've raised wages for firefighters, for our police officers, and city staff across the board. So whether it's a truck driver, bus drivers, everyone has seen raises and benefits in our city. I've also been focused on delivering on promises that would improve lives and livelihoods. So when I was knocking doors for my campaign, I heard about unfinished parks, roads that needed to be repaved, the basics. And so I was really proud to secure funding for several new parks in Laveen when we first started. And I'm glad Mr. Bransco mentioned the bond program, and I'll get into that in the district update. But of the $500 million bond package, $113 million of that is going directly to District 7 constituents. And that did not happen by accident. We did a ton of advocacy as an office, and I personally was super involved to make sure that we mobilized to make sure we got that funding secured. Now, as a candidate, the question you're most often asked is, why are you running? Why Congress? And I have a couple of reasons for that. First of all, I believe this moment is urgent. We have crises ranging from the climate crisis to housing inaffordability to economic inequality. And I have proven that I can actually deliver policy. I think as a Democrat, often we say the right things, but at the end of the day, when we look at the chaos in Washington, I think it's imperative that we have somebody who has real tangible policymaking experience, has been able to deliver real funding for constituents, tangible projects and results that are coming out of the ground, and someone who's able to work with a diverse array of perspectives, whether that's progressives, moderates, even Republicans in some cases. I think the average American really, really wants to make sure that their elected official can deliver. And I also think I'm the best candidate for the job. If you've worked with me, you know that I'm tireless. I work really hard. I work pretty much every single day of the week. I do my research and I ensure that I understand the nuances of policy so that I can be effective. And that's what this district deserves. So really excited about the campaign that we've been running. In our first fundraising quarter, we outraised all of our opponents combined. And I'm confident that we have outraised our pool of opponents in this quarter as well. And why that's important is because it means we'll have the resources to run a phenomenal campaign. I'm pride myself on my ground game and my council race. We had over 30 paid organizers knocking on doors every single day. And this time we'll be hiring anywhere from 50 to 100. I think my field director is on the line. I'll give her a shout out, Jordan Hodges. She was my community manager in my council office and now coming over to our campaign team. And we really intend to have a young, diverse team, and we'll start hitting the doors very, very soon. And I think that's another piece that's really important as someone who can bring fundraising and the ground game to this district, and not just for this election, for elections in the future. That's something that's been forgotten. We haven't continued to organize, and this district, as we all know, is so important and has so much potential for voter turnout in Arizona. So if you'd like to get involved, please go to yaseminforcongress.com. And I really appreciate the time tonight. So happy to take any questions as well.
All
Yasmin,
right. Oh, all right, Dave. I think was that you?
yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Ask the question. Yasmin, if I can, what is your position on the Middle East? Are you supportive of President Biden's attempts to increase funding? Or are you supportive of some of the Republicans who want to decrease the funding? Now that this is a hot issue and a fighting issue, I would like more details.
I am completely in support of the Biden administration policy on this issue. I think we need to stand with Israel. I think that there's no question Hamas is a terrorist organization with a very clear descriptor in their manifesto about wanting to annihilate the country. And so there is no question about that. Want to make sure we continue to fund Israel and aid and in support of the Iron Dome and what might be needed. I also, you mentioned the Middle East, but I think this is a broader question right now about Russia's role in the world as well and the attacks on democracy. I don't think these are isolated incidents. There's no mystery that Russia is a huge supporter of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which slaughters its own citizens, and the IRGC, which is what the Islamic Republic's acronym is a huge supporter of Hamas as well. And so I'm watching very closely what the Biden administration is saying and doing on this matter. And I know that they have been very closely in touch with Israel to make sure that we're defending them in any way that we can.
Thank you.
All right, Carmen, I see your hand up.
Yes, good evening. So I got a question because, I have been checking out council, and my question is, okay, I've noticed with the transportation piece, a lot of bus stops either don't have like benches, or if they do have those little hub things, like for example, I think it's either Broadway or Baseline and 51st Avenue, they don't have any benches. And that's very unacceptable. And I know you said something about you were involved with something like that. And I think that that needs to be addressed, because I don't think that anybody, even if someone is homeless, has the right to be not having a bench to sit on. And so my question is what is being addressed in terms of that, along with the homelessness thing? Because, you know, I don't feel satisfied with that, along with, you know, just to help with, you know, all other kinds of issues that are happening, because I'm not satisfied, you know, and I am in District 7, even though I'm not in Levine, but I'm still in your district. And so what is being done about this for real? Because I don't see anything. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I just want to start off by saying I completely agree with your point about the need for bus stops and shade. I have, you know, we do on, like, to be very truthful, we get a lot of, not a lot, but a handful of requests to our office, asking us to remove bus stops, asking us to remove shade, because people think that that would deter some of the activity. And that's something that I personally have been completely opposed to. I don't think that, as you said, I think everyone deserves shade, and I don't think we should be taking that infrastructure away. So in District 7, there is no instance in which I have approved any sort of removal of a bus stop or anything of that sort. There have been a couple of cases where but like there have been some vandalizing issues, and part of very normal routine remodeling temporary bus stops have come forward. We do actually have a goal as part of our Transportation 2050 plan and part of our general efforts around tree and shade in the city to make sure that ultimately all of our bus stops across the city have adequate shade as well. So I just want to highlight that, because that is something that we're working toward. If there is a specific bus stop like the one that you mentioned, I'm happy to check to see if there's why there might be an issue. And sometimes the boundaries between 7 and 8 are hard to know. Levine is split between District 7 and 8, but I'm happy to check for you. So if you want to just send me a message, I'm happy to check. But I just want to make sure everyone knows that we are working on other solutions, like something in Levine that we've worked on, particularly around 51st Avenue and Baseline, is we have dedicated significant resources to pair our behavioral health specialists with our police officers to go and offer services. It's been very successful. There's still more work to do. And I'll, again, talk about this in the city portion, but we're looking at some new potential proposals where we can have dedicated Phoenix Cares specialists for the Levine area so that residents have a direct point of contact to go to.
All right. So everybody, as you know, Yasmin's been wearing 2 hats tonight. This was the candidate hat. So if you have questions about her capacity as a city councilwoman, she's not going anywhere. She is going to be reporting out on that. And of course, you'll have some opportunities to answer or ask some questions for her. All right. So we have a second guest speaker tonight. So I want to go ahead and introduce our second guest speaker, who is Francesca Martin. She is the Deputy Director of Keep AZ Blue Student Coalition. And that is and she's a student at Arizona State University, major in political science, good degree program, entering her sophomore year. She first got involved in politics during the 2020 Biden election, as she was part of the Students for Biden 2020, working with fellow students to elect Joe Biden. Using the resources and knowledge she gained during that campaign, she and 3 others decided to form an organization, Keep Arizona Blue Student Coalition, with the goals of expanding the student electorate and engaging students to vote for Democrats at the most local levels to the top of the ballot. During the 2022 midterm, she worked for the Maricopa County Democratic Party doing field and communication, and has been involved in various other local campaigns. So that being said, let's go ahead and Francesca will go ahead and get you highlighted here first of all. But there we go. And you also, I know you have a presentation, so I'll give you sharing access. So the floor is yours.
For one, I just want to thank you, Chair Brown, and all of LD11 for allowing me to speak tonight. It's truly been a pleasure, and I hope in this presentation that I get to share. Sorry, let me actually go to the slideshow, that it is pretty comprehensive. So this actually needs to go to the beginning. Okay, so welcome everyone to Student Power 101. I have a very special place in my heart for LD11. I love LD11, so it's super exciting to be able to speak to you all tonight. I mean, we have some data too that is specific to the district, which is super exciting. So really, as Chair Brown was explaining, our organization has two main goals, and that's expanding the youth electorate and raising the next generation of campaign leaders. So we know young people get involved, they just don't come out to vote. But they know everyone's kind of been activated in their own way. So I'll kind of start out with how I got activated and explain how really every young person has a story like that. They may just not know it is political. So I'm an Arizona native, but my entire mom's family is actually from New York City. And before I was born, when my grandmother was just having her third child, my grandfather was coming home from work one day as an FDNY firefighter, and he actually saved two people out of a car fire. The two people actually survived. He saved their lives. And in doing so, the carburetor exploded and he ended up with second and third degree burns over 50% of his body. So the department in the city tried to fight it when he had outstanding medical bills. And again, he was the only person bringing in income in that family. Again, my grandmother had just had her third child. And so it wasn't until the union, the International Association of Firefighters, stepped in and actually kept my family in the middle class. They took care of my family. They took care of my grandfather. And that's always left an incredibly large impact on my life. And is really why I prioritize unions in the activism I do. So every young person has had that story. They may just not know it's political. And so it's super important that collectively as Democrats, we're bridging political issues and issue-based advocacy with the candidates on the ballot and really make it easier to fill out the ballot on election day. So we do this in a lot of ways. We're mainly operations-based. While we have over about 30, 40 members, we're really hitting the ground every day doing operations, whether it comes to voter registration, although we know it doesn't stop at voter registration. That's why we put such a heavy emphasis on the blue. It's kind of keeping that momentum from the Students for Biden that we had all been working on prior. And so we know it doesn't stop at voter registration, though. In 2020, there are about 250,000 young people through the ages of 18 and 29 in the state of Arizona who did not come out to vote, but were registered. And so it's super important that we're getting already registered people to activated for the Democrats on their ballot all the way to the bottom. Student roundtables, in that photo, you'll see Patsy Serrano. She's actually the first Latina elected to the Chandler Unified School District and the only candidate running in that race who actually listened to students in her district. We put that together with a diverse group of young people from around Chandler Unified, and it was super important to the young people listening and then obviously the voters as well. We plan to run an intense field game in 2024 when it comes to canvassing and phone banking. We will be running our own operations when it comes to knocking on doors, that 18 through 24, 18 through 29 age block, and then also calling those 18 through 29-year-olds as well. And we also know to do this with young people. As we know, sometimes young people will listen to young people best. We have an intense social media strategy and plan as well. We focus on Facebook, Twitter, now known as X, and Instagram, and we all have different content curated for that. Actually, we just also have an Instagram series going on right now called Coffee with Kabska, which we actually just had Oscar de los Santos on just recently, and it really helps inform people, what different politicians and kind of people in politics are doing in their respective districts. We have different community events going on for young people, and then also just candidate workshops as well. Whether you are a young person navigating the political field or you're the oldest away from that, not old, but older, away from that youth age voting block, we think it's super important that young or old people really prioritize student strategy in their campaigns. So we do have target LDs. I know LD11 isn't on this target list, but we are hitting every district statewide. So we do also plan to have people in LD11 as well. So here are some of the youth data for LD11. This is the 18 through 24-year-old age block, as that's kind of where we put our focus on, although we know a lot of data tends to be 18 through 29. So this is Democrats and then lean Democrat independents, what that turnout looked like as far as like whether they were registered before the November 2022 election and then whether or not they actually came out. So the average for the LD of LD11 was 48%. And then we see shocking numbers for the youth turnout. We know, as you can see by this graph, Carrie, how much students kind of prioritize voting for Democrats rather than Republicans. And we know that a lot of candidates prioritize that older independent voter, which is typically important. But in the case when you have young people that are registered, that aren't coming out, and you don't even have to do persuasion to get them out, it's super important that we're really making critical investments into that youth vote. I also have a case study here from the U of A. Forks up, I am a Sun Devil. But this, is a concentrated area of students. And so to see, only 35% turnout is pretty disheartening when if people were, it's kind of missed a little bit if people were to have a more intense focus. We think that that number would actually turn out to be a lot higher. So there are many ways that you can help interact with us, whether that is contributing to our operations that we plan to run in 2024, whether that's even just boosting our stuff on social media or attending our upcoming fall fundraiser, which is actually hosted at a union hall and is going to be co-hosted by Yasmin Ansari and Secretary Adrian Fontes. So the QR code should be accessible for everybody. And then I can also drop that in the chat. And then if anybody has any questions, please let me know if I still have time.
Yeah, you've got some time, even though, you're a Sun Devil and everything, but we love everybody here at LD11.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions for Francesca? All right. Thank you, Francesca. Great information. Great information. Thank you for sharing that with us. And again, it's super important that we are investing time in our young voters. I mean, many of you guys on this call have young voters or potential young voters in your household. So make sure that, they're voting, they're engaged, and that, they're a part of the conversation. That's the most important thing. So that being said, thank you, Francesca. All right, we got a few. Next thing on the agenda, we have some elected official updates. So I know we have some of our electeds on the call. I see Senator Miranda, so I'll go ahead and we'll start at the state level and work our way down. So the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Good evening, everyone. Francesca, that was an amazing report. Thank you for that. Just a few updates from the Capitol. We're having a lot of meetings lately, just preparing for next session. In particular, there's education meetings, ongoing education meetings. We had one today between the House and the Senate Democrats. We got together to hash out possible legislation for January. So you might hear about school board bills, maybe extending from 5 members to 7 members, also requiring fingerprint clearance cards on school board members. So these are just discussions that we're having. There's one that I'm particularly interested in, and that is including psychologists in our school safety plan. Right now, Tom Horn has a school safety task force created. I was able to get on that task force just to hear what he's up to, basically. And his belief is school safety should only require SROs. So I'm in there to also try to educate the task force that it also includes counselors and social workers and psychologists. I am going to focus on the psychologist piece. So you may be seeing legislation with that in the education area. There's just ongoing talks about ESA and AEL. We haven't decided how we're going to create legislation yet. There's talks that the Republicans are going to come up with their piece. So I'm not sure if our staff wants to see what's going to come out from them first, but those are going to be 2 ongoing discussions in those areas. Just recently, Senator Peterson dissolved the Commerce Committee. Like, who does that? Nationwide, in every legislature, commerce is about economic future. I'm the ranking member in Commerce Committee, and he dissolved it. Officially, he didn't do it legally, though, because it is a standing committee in the Senate, which requires rules to dissolve it. So it requires a Senate rule vote to dissolve it. So it's not even legally and officially dissolved, but he claims he has gotten rid of that. I did put out a press release, and usually that's what we do, is put out press releases just to let them know how we feel about certain decisions. I want to go further than that. I have reached out to the United States Hispanic Chamber President, Ramiro Cavazos. And what my goal is to have him fly into Arizona and just come into a conference room with chambers and businesses. And I want to put it in their hands to decide how we should move forward. So what I'm planning to do is to invite our Arizona Small Business Association, our Arizona Chamber of Commerce, Arizona Commerce Authority, and our Hispanic chambers to join Mr. Cavazos and just have a discussion on how we should move forward without a Commerce Committee here in Arizona. So stay tuned for that. I'll update you on the progress with that. A couple of meetings ago, I let you know that I was focused on homelessness all session. And at the conclusion of the session, I really learned a lot with substance abuse, just the different reasons why people are homeless. And now I'm going to be focusing on the SMI population, which is the severely mentally ill population. So I worked really hard to try to get on the Psychiatric Hospital Review Council. And I just didn't take no for an answer, because if that's going to be my focus, the SMI population, I felt like it was going to be important to be on that council. I recently did get a letter from Senator Peterson, it's right here, stating that he did appoint me on that council. And what I want to do is focus on the Arizona State Hospital. There's a lot of things that I'm learning that is just not right. So I want to uncover a lot of things that are going on there that should be looked at. So I am looking forward to working on that issue. Let's see. There is, as far as here right in the district, I have been working with Dr. Roselle in Levine. He's involved in an urban farming education piece to try to create gardens throughout our schools. So I recently adopted a school. It's not in Levine. It's actually a few doors down where I grew up on Rozier Road, Jorgensen School. So it hasn't been announced. I guess it's announced now, but officially it hasn't to the school. But my plans are to adopt a garden there, and hopefully you can see gardens throughout our schools in the valley. And with that, that's all I have for now. But thank you.
All right. Thank you, Senator. Does anyone have any questions for Senator Miranda? Okay, we had Dave, you want to go ahead and read out your we got a comment. Okay, so the question. Okay, there's a comment in the chat from Dave, so I'll leave that there. Carmen, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you. Senator, my question is in regards to McKinney-Vento, and I've been trying to reach out to Senate as well as House members, along with board members as well, because I, in my heart of hearts, don't think that this particular subject is being addressed enough, because a lot of parents don't have a clue about it, or a lot of school boards aren't addressing it, as well as just the whole thing with the McKinney-Vento in itself. It needs to be changed, and I keep getting the same thing, because I talked to Judy Schwiebert about this along with some other people, and they're saying that it's a federal thing, and I get it, but also too, you got to remember about state rights. And I just need this particular thing to be pushed out there, because if not, then these ESA voucher things, it's just going to keep happening with not having more increase and expansion on that, because I feel like that a lot of families turn to those ESAs that are homeless because of the fact that they don't have time, or you keep moving from place to place. And so with an ESA voucher, they can teach their child or have something where they could drop their child off at some kind of micro school or some fly by night school, put it that way. And it's just a convenience tactic. So I'm just wondering what is gonna happen with that, because I really want this particular thing pushed. I really need people to understand that this is available, and just it needs reform, and just period, just it needs to happen. I mean, and it's messed up that it has to be that way, but at the same time, it's like, a lot of this corporate takeover stuff is just ridiculous, and people being thrown out is crazy. And I'm just wondering what's being done about that, and can this be pushed some more? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Terrell, is your question that the McKinney-Vento students should have access to ESA vouchers? Is that your concern?
No,
What is
I'm saying, okay, a lot of parents and families, right? They are not aware of this particular thing. And I'm afraid that if this is not being addressed properly, the enrollment for ESAs is going to increase exponentially. And so people really need to know what this McKinney-Vento law is, as well as this law needs to be reformed as well, because it's a whole lot of issues with it. So I feel like that needs to be a priority right now.
Okay. Yeah, no, I invite you to come and talk to me more in detail about your concerns with McKinney-Vento. I have brought up that issue with our homeless families that are documented as McKinney-Vento. And my question was kind of the same thing. What are we going to do with these families? They are homeless. I didn't get a good answer on that. I would love to work with you on that group of homeless people, in particular our students that are on the McKinney-Vento list. So let's talk more, Ms. Terrell, on solutions in this subject.
Okay, so how can I get in contact with you directly?
Well, I always give out my personal cell number. I'll do it again right now, if you're ready for it. And everybody else on the line. It's 480 284 2690.
Okay, can you put it in the chat too, please, if possible?
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Great question. Thank you, Senator Miranda. Again, like I said, if you guys think of some other questions, I know she's going to be with us at the meeting, so you can just drop those in the chat to her. All right. So other electeds, let's move to our city government. So Vice Mayor Anasari, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Hello again. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate the additional time. During this period, I just want to go into a little bit more detail about some of the work at the city. Just as a reminder, I represent District 7, which includes South Phoenix, Laveen, Estrella, Maryvale, and downtown. So it's an incredibly diverse district. Over the past year, I've also been very focused on identifying and implementing strategies to provide more affordable housing and housing in general, opening more shelters and providing more services to our unsheltered population, and continuing our work towards a more sustainable and heat-ready city. So just want to give a little bit more specifics about the addressing homelessness piece. As I mentioned, more than half of the federal funding we received from the American Rescue Plan at the city we directed towards these issues. And we're really focused on building new shelters, enhancing our outreach services, and then getting into that next step of providing more affordable housing. Last week, I actually had the opportunity to travel to Austin and San Antonio with our Office of Homeless Solutions, and they are doing incredible work. We toured some tiny home villages and harm reduction sites. So they would get like 20 acres and build 3D printed homes, had RVs, tiny homes, and really a community there. And their outreach providers are able to move individuals from the streets to those homes. So kind of the next phase that we're working on. I'll update everyone later, but we just identified a new site, a city-owned parcel that we will be using for our next shelter. We're anticipating bringing online an additional 800 beds over the next 2 years. In downtown, we recently approved a community assistant hub in partnership with Downtown Phoenix Inc., which includes office space for community bridges. And they're a group that does outreach to our homeless population. And they will also be home to our community assistance program, which, as you all might, as a reminder, is a $15 million investment the city made so that we have mental health professionals and social workers who can respond to 911 calls in the case where an armed officer is not needed. I'm hoping, the reason I bring this up, even though it's downtown, I'm hoping to replicate this kind of a hub model in Laveen to address some of the ongoing issues that we've seen at not only 51st Avenue and Baseline, but 35th Avenue and Southern and Cesar Chavez Park. So we will have a quarterly meeting. We do quarterly meetings in Laveen with District 8, so now Councilwoman Hodge Washington, to talk through the various things we're working on at the city, get feedback from the community. So our next one is coming up in a couple of weeks. So I'll make sure to send that info to Patrick so he can send around. Another policy I recently worked on and was really excited to see pass was the legalization of accessory dwelling units on single family lots to increase our housing stock, which we had really positive feedback. This is something that was endorsed even by the AARP because it's a really good solution for the elderly to live in ADUs, let's say with their parents, or also really good for college students. Also wanted to talk a little bit about the GO bond, which again was mentioned, but I want to shout out some of the pieces that are specific to Laveen and South Phoenix. In South Phoenix, the bond includes funding for the Esteban Park Recreation Center, as well as new regional pool and splash pads at Harmon Parks. We're very excited about that. There's also allocations for Rio Reimagined land acquisition to provide more community and cultural space along the Rio Salado. And Laveen will have new funding for the Cesar Chavez for the senior center, I apologize, which will couple really well with the new community center that opened. And throughout the city, there will be 4 new fire stations, more money for affordable housing, energy efficiency, renewables. In the Estrella part of my district, I was really proud to work with the community to advocate for a new regional park in 99th Avenue and Lower Buckeye. So very much like the Cesar Chavez Park, we now will have funding to build the first phase of the Estrella Civic Space. So quite excited. Outside of the bond, I've also been very focused on economic development to bring more investments to South Phoenix and Laveen. A few months ago, we were thrilled to announce the Laveen Town Center, which will be at 59th Avenue and Dobbins. This project will be built by the same company that did Tempe Marketplace and Desert Ridge. So it'll be a similar concept with retail, with restaurants. The historic Hudson farmhouse on that property will be hopefully turned into a cool wine bar. So a lot of good stuff coming to Laveen. And for those of you who live there, you know that the ask for more sit-down restaurants, retail, and just more community space is at least what I hear very often. So I'm excited about that. In South Phoenix, we've been working on a request for proposal that we will be putting out for the southeast corner of Central and Broadway, which is another city-owned sites. And the vision there is to bring not only housing, but a grocery store, which is super needed for that area, a health clinic, or other community benefits, because it's right along light rail and really a prime property. So we're trying to tailor the RFP in a way that we meet some of those long-standing community needs there. And on the northwest corner of the same intersection, the city is looking to redevelop the Ed Pastor Transit Center, preserving the historic building on site while also developing the large parking lot. So there will be more information coming about that in the coming year. And then finally, I just wanted to talk about a couple of grant opportunities for you all. In an effort to expand our shade canopy to address extreme heat, our Office of Heat Response and Mitigation is offering grants for individuals, neighborhoods, and schools in qualified census tract areas to plant trees. The Community Canopy Grant provides up to 2 trees per household or up to 200 trees per neighborhood. As we know, South Phoenix in particular has some of the lowest levels of tree coverage in the city, and as a result sees higher average temperatures than than more affluent areas. So I definitely encourage you to spread the word about that and apply. And then the Canopy for Kids grant program provides up to $75,000 per school or nonprofit who serve children to plant trees. And all of those can be applied to at phoenix.gov/heat. And then finally, the Neighborhood Services Department is also offering a home weatherization grant that can help subsidize improvements to make your home more energy efficient. Sorry, that was a little long, a lot going on. And I also left my contact information in the chat for those who may want to reach out about whether it's a city or a campaign related issue. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any quick questions for Yasmin? Carmen.
Yeah, I apologize, y'all, but there's so much stuff going on in my mind that don't make any sense. But once again, my question is how come it's not enough hospitals in the area, but yet it's all this talk about more retail and it's not even enough water in the veins. So what's being done about this? That's what I want to know. Thank you.
So there is a banner hospital that has been in the works for quite a while. I know it's been a bit slow, but I'm happy to get an update on construction there. But there is a banner hospital in the works for that area. I would say, you know, I think when it comes to our fire department, which is of course, you know, at the forefront of public health, we've been making a lot of additions that across the city that I think will help Laveen. We just broke ground on a new fire station at 93rd Avenue in Lower Buckeye with 24 new positions there, which will absolutely help with capacity in the other Southwest Phoenix areas of the district. But I can just tell, I would say overall, Laveen is at the forefront when it comes to every meeting we have with our community and economic development department. We're always looking at needs. There's a lot of organic investment happening there, but there's also a lot of proactive work from the city. It's part of, there was actually a recent article in Arizona Central that talks about the 4 areas of priority for the city of Phoenix and where there's going to be a lot of growth coming, and Laveen was one of those areas. So I'll take a note on that, and I'll, Carmen, if you leave your contact information, I'd be happy to get a updated timeline on the banner hospital for you as well.
All right. Thank you, Yasmin. Again, if you guys have any questions or anything that you think of, her contact information will be in the chat. And of course, you can always, you know, send her a chat here or email her later. So thank you very much. All right. Let's see what, don't want to forget our school boards. I see Signa Oliver, Phoenix Union. What updates or information do you have for us?
Hey, everybody. Good to see you. Well, the first thing I want to talk about that's coming up in the next few weeks is the bond initiative that Phoenix Union has put forth. The board decided in May that we would ask for a bond election, and that election is on November 7th. And mainly the amount of the bond is $475 million. And it's funding, you know, construction projects, renovations of school buildings, you know, just a host of things, upgrading our technology, getting, you know, more land purchases because we are actually growing. We have some new schools that we are housing with other schools, but we'd like them to have their own campuses. Increasing cybersecurity and doing all kinds of things to upgrade that is necessary to upgrade Phoenix Union schools. We're about 27,000 students right now, so these are really needed to continue to service the students in the Phoenix Union district area. One of the things that people always ask, you know, is this going to make my property taxes go up? There is no anticipated property tax increase. Just for an example, a Phoenix homeowner with a $100,000 house pays $45.38 per year. toward the, Phoenix Union District. So it's not, we don't anticipate any increase this year for any property taxes for anybody there. And let's see. Senator Miranda made a mention of the task force she's on. I spent my first 6 months at least at Phoenix Union talking about school safety, and we did come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan in June at our June board meeting that they're implementing it now. And we're also coming up with some technological advances that can help keep our campuses as safe as possible. Senator Miranda, if you want somebody to come, talk to the task force, because I think I've been so immersed in that that area of protecting our schools and keeping our schools safe that it's been crazy. One of the things that Superintendent Horn needs to understand is we did approve 6 SROs. We only have 2 because there's a law enforcement shortage right now nationwide. So I don't know where he's going to get these people if he thinks that's something that is the only component, which it is not. It is a component of school safety, but it is not the only component. There's many other components, as school safety experts will tell you. So we are very excited about the things that are coming up, especially the bond. So if you're in the area and you can vote on the bond. We're asking to vote yes for the bond initiative because those funds are so needed to upgrade and expand what we can offer the students in Phoenix Union. And that's all I have. If there's any questions, let me know. I'm going to drop in the chat a video that the board put out to the public, or the district put out to the public on the bond election. So if you have interest in watching the short video, I just dropped it in the chat.
All right. And we'll definitely make sure we can get that into the newsletter. And Carmen's got a question.
Yeah, so hello.
Hey, Carmen.
My question, I was just talking to the senator about it, and I want to reiterate it again about McKinney-Vento, because from what I've been finding out, not a lot of families know about it. And I'm just wondering, is Phoenix Union addressing this issue properly?
What issue? I'm not sure what issue you're referencing.
Well, just for number one, families just even knowing about McKinney-Vento, let alone having access to services, because I'm finding that some boards aren't addressing this really well. So,
well, I'll say we have not. That issue has not come up with our board. I know you spoke to the senator about how you would like it to be addressed. And you can always, you've contacted me before. Send me what you're asking us, to do, and we'll see if we can help you with that. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, because I think that many families need to know about it. You know what I mean? But thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Signa. Again, if you guys have any think of questions or things like that, you can drop something in the chat. And if there's a way for people to email you at your capacity as a school board member, Signa, drop that information in the chat. Okay, everybody, we are in the home stretch here, because I can tell folks who are thinking like they need to go grab a snack, or they're sneaking over and trying to see what the score is on the baseball game, but we're almost there. All right, so quick, I guess lightning round here. For old business, just a reminder, it is that time of year for PCs to go through the process to become elected PCs. We have a goal of having 60, but we won't stop at 60. We'll go as high as we can. Elected PCs going into the next term. Current PCs, you got a really awesome postcard in the mail. become a PC. That outlines kind of the steps and what you need to do to re-up. If you have any questions, definitely reach out. This process is really easy, and we're here to help you do that and get it done. If this is your first time going through this process, like I said, it's not hard. We're here to help. If you are not currently a PC, but you are a registered Democrat in LD11, we would love for you to become a PC, and I'd be happy to talk with you all about that. So what I'll do is I'll drop my information in the chat at some point here, where if you would like to reach out to ask me questions about being a PC or how that works, I'll be happy to do that. That brings us to new business. So as I mentioned in my report, that we need to, per our bylaws, have Tanisha be voted in as secretary. Again, she is not here tonight. She is traveling through work, but of course, per our bylaws, we kind of have to do this the next regular meeting. She does not need to be present to, of course, run for this position. I'm going to quickly go through how the election process is going to work. After I go through the instructions, it'll be really simple. I'm going to open the floor for nominations. At that point, PCs, so guests, just got to set this one out, enjoy the show. PCs will, nominate. I'll ask for nominations 3 times. Then I will go ahead and ask for a motion to close nominations. From that point, if there's only one candidate and no one else is running, then PC can make a motion to vote by acclamation. If we have more than one candidate, then we will do a vote. We'll do it electronically through Zoom. That way it'll be, people will be able to vote. Again, if you are not a PC, if you're a guest or, just a community member who's attending the meeting, you're not eligible to run for this office or vote in this office. But again, you don't have to go anywhere. You can enjoy the show. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing started here. I'll go ahead and open the floor. Can I get a motion to open the floor for nominations?
So moved.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
All right, floor is open for nominations for the office of secretary. Do we have a nomination for the office of secretary? In case everyone forgot what I said earlier, Tanisha Charity is our current acting secretary, and she's interested in running for the position.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Taisha.
All right, we have a nomination for Tanisha Charity. I know that when I spoke to her earlier, she said she was going to accept if she was not able to be here. Their flight didn't get in.
Yeah.
Do we have another nomination for secretary? Okay, second time, do we have another nomination for secretary? All right, third time, do we have another nomination for secretary? All right, I'll accept a motion to close the floor to nominations.
This is Second Vice Chairman Butts. I'd like to make a motion to close the nominations.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, the floor is closed for nominations. All right, so now we move into I'll accept a motion to elect Tanisha by acclamation.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second. This is Butts.
All right, all those in favor, we'll do a voice vote, so just say aye.
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 Any opposed? And any abstentions? All right, awesome. I will text Tanisha. She probably won't get it till her plane lands, but she is will finish out the term as secretary for LD11. So when you see her, talk to her, bump into her, tell her congratulations. All right, that business is done. So that brings us to announcements. So please, if you have any announcements for the good of order, please keep your announcements to 1 minute or less. Otherwise, our Sergeant Arms will mute you, and that'll be kind of embarrassing. So with that being said, go ahead, unmute, and share your announcements. Okay, announcements.
Patrick?
Yes.
Esther wants to say something.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, this is Esther.
Turn the other
Oh,
one.
hold on. Okay, this is Esther Duran Lum. Wanted to let everyone know, if you're available, tomorrow, there's a coalition of 3 Latino organizations, Arizona Adelitas, the Arizona Hispanic Community Forum, and Promise Arizona. We have teamed up and are having a press conference tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Grant Park, 701 South 3rd Avenue. It's right across from El Portal Restaurant. And the press conference is being held to encourage voters to vote in the GO bond election. GO stands for general obligation. And there are plenty of, as your city council person told you, there are plenty of opportunities for voters to get informed about what this bond election would mean in terms of what the money would be spent on. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow at our press conference, because there are a lot of advantages for people to know exactly what the money is being planned for and how it might impact their lives, their neighborhoods, and their communities. So I invite all of you to join us at 10 a.m. at Grant Park to learn a little bit more in detail about the City of Phoenix GO bond election. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Esther. If you guys could shoot me an email this evening, I will try and get something out tonight or first thing in the morning, just to get that information out to our community. All right, any other announcements?
Mr. Chair, did you get a chance to update on that event for yesterday?
I have not, but if you'd like to go for it, you're more than welcome.
Okay. Tomorrow from 5 to 7 p.m., there is a vote yes on 1 through 4 Phoenix at the Deuce, and Phoenix Councilwoman Keisha House Washington will be there. They're hoping that people come down there and ask questions and support that initiative I was talking about earlier. So if you're free tomorrow, Thursday, October 12th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Deuce, and that's at 525 South Central Avenue, Phoenix, Arizona, 85004. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. All right, any other announcements for the good of the order? Okay, announcements going once. Announcements going twice. All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. Great meeting. A lot of good information. If you missed anything, it will be in our newsletter, as well as, of course, we'll be pushing this. Of course, will go on our YouTube page as well. Additionally, because we've got some events that are happening tomorrow, if you missed out on any of the information or want some more specifics, that's going to go out probably tonight or first thing in the morning via email, so you can have an opportunity to go to those events. One kind of final thought before we go and shut everything down here is there's a lot going on in the world. Sometimes it feels like none of it's good, but understand there's a lot of really great people doing lots of good work to try to make the world just a little bit better. So if you're reading the news, if you're online, if you're seeing things are going on, in Israel, things are going on just up the street from your house, and you're thinking how bad can it get? Understand that there's a lot of really great things going on, lots of really positive things going on. And so when we have things like bond elections, city bonds, school board overrides and bonds, those things can help add a more positivity to our community and just make the world just a little bit better, because you know what? There's going to be some kid out there that's going to benefit from these initiatives that will grow up to make our world just a little bit better, and they'll be able to do that because they'll have the access to those things. So just a little something to think about. With that said, everyone have a good evening. We'll want to see you guys at the happy hour next Saturday, or is it this Saturday? What coming up soon? Because I don't remember when it's happening, but it's in the newsletter. With that said, have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Thank y'all. Love the thing. Good night.